is going to be 3 tall. From A to C is 3 tall. From C to B is 4. Now you want to know this. If you have a 90-degree triangle and you know 2 of the 3 sides, you can always find the 3rd side if you use A squared plus B squared equals C squared. The only thing you need to be really good at is identifying C. This is leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse. Which one is the hypotenuse, or which one's C? It's always opposite the 90-degree angle. Your legs are going to be this vertical guy and this horizontal guy. The cross, they're perpendicular. So hypotenuse is going to be the question mark. So it's going to be 3 squared plus 4 squared equals C squared. Danny? 9 plus 16 equals C squared. 25 equals C squared. And then here's the whole purpose. This is what I want to bring to your mind. How do you solve for C? What is the opposite of a square? How are you going to undo a square? You're going to do a square root. What's the square root of 25? So at the end of the day, you get C is 5, right? So now answer this question. That's called an inverse operation. Undo C squared, you do square root. So how would you undo a square root? Square it. Write it in. Square it. That is how you undo a square root. Slide number 2. Today's lesson is going to be chock full of equations, and there are going to be square roots. So here we go. Really quick, let's write this down and refresh our memories. What is the order of operations? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Parentheses first. What's number 2? Exponents. Exponents. Uh-oh. What's number 3? Times or divide. What's number 4?
Adding and subtracting.
Plus whichever one comes first, right? Okay, now equations. Let's write equations. E-Q-U-A-T-I-O-N-S. Number 1, Stokes. You're going to undo everything you did. This is to solve a problem. This is to solve an equation. So step number 1, you are going to write undo. What's your very first move? What are you going to undo? You're going to undo, add, or subtract. What's number 2? What are you going to undo on 2? You're going to undo times. Yeah, you go totally backwards. What's number 3? You're going to undo exponents, and the very last thing you're going to undo is the parentheses. You're going to undo parentheses. So look at this guy right here. You want to get x all by itself. Number 1, undo plus or minus. Where do you see plus or minus? The 2. How do you undo plus 2? Minus 2 minus 2. So you're going to have square root of x plus 1 equals 2. Now, what about this plus 1 underneath the square root? Can I get rid of that? Can I just go minus 1 minus 1? Why cannot I do that? Because it's under the square root, and that's just like parentheses. I have got to get rid of these parentheses, or this square root. How do you undo a square root? Square it. So if you square the left-hand side, you have got to square the right-hand side. What's 2 squared?
4.
So on the right, you're going to get 4. On the left, if you square a square root, they just erase each other. So you just have what's underneath. You just have the radicand, x plus 1. Now what? Minus 1 minus 1, x is?
3.
Katie? You like them? Easy? Just follow these steps. Undo plus minus, undo times divide, undo exponents, undo parentheses. Okay? Alright. Extraneous solutions. You guys do this. Recall. Bring this to your memory. There we go, Danny. What's 3 times x? So you're going to have 3x. What's 3 times minus 2? So you got 3x minus 6. On the right hand side, what do you got?
3x minus 2.
3x minus 2. Now, take a step back and look at the big picture. Stokes, is 3x minus 6 equal to 3x minus 2? That is true or false? That's false. If you get a false, you're going to get this. You're going to get no solution. Okay, if you do the math, here's what it's going to look like. If you plus 6 plus 6, you're going to get 3x equals 3x plus 4 minus 3x minus 3x. You're going to get 0 equals 4. 0 equals 4 is false. If you ever get false, your answer is no solution. What about this guy? What if you get 3x equals 9? What's x? So you've got one of three options. Either it works and your answer is some real number, and that one's 3, or you're going to get a false statement from the very get-go and it's no solution, or you're going to get this. What if you get 3x equals 3x?
Ooh, that's one.
This is a true. And what do we put if it's true?
All real numbers.
Any number in the real number set will work. So either only one number works, no numbers work, or every number works. This one is false. That's a false statement. No solution. This one right here, you can plug in anything. If I plug in 10, it's going to be 30 equals 30. True. If I plug in 100, 300 equals 300. True. So, box this right here. Put stars by it. Draw your attention to this paragraph. You've always got to check your work. Danny, no solution is going to sneakily show up in square roots. It's not going to be as obvious. This one's pretty obvious because you get a false, you get 0 equals 4. As soon as you get something funky, you know that's false, that's no solution. But it is going to be very subtle in here. It's not going to be obvious at all. The only way to find it is if you check your work. Okay, let's do a couple practice problems. Let's skip.
So the answer was the true one, right?
No, the answer is false. No solution. Right here. Katie, do this problem right here.
I don't understand.
Go.
Plus 4 plus 5.
Yeah, add 4 on the left, add 4 on the right. That's move number 1. So you have 9 equals square root of 40b plus 1. Now this 40 and this 1 and the b are all under the radical. So how are you going to get rid of that radical? What's the opposite of a square root?
Square.
So if you square this side, you have to square this side. What's 9 squared?
81.
So you could have 81 equals a square root and a square just erase each other. So you just have 40b plus 1. From here on out, it has got to be ultra speed. This is fast. Do you get rid of the 80 or the 40 or the 1? Minus 1. Minus 1. 80 equals 40b. How do you get rid of the 40? Divide by 40. What's 80 divided by 40? Okay, hold on. B equals 2. Don't circle it because that may or may not be it. Here's what you have to do. To figure out if it is it, you have to plug it in. And you can kind of do it in your head. And if it does equal 5, then we're good. If it does not equal 5, then it's false, and that's going to be no solution. So let's plug it in. 2. What is 40 times 2? What's 80 plus 1? What's square root of 81? What's 9 minus 4? So see, plugging it in is not, it's not too much.
If you get an answer like that and you plug it in and it doesn't equal, why wouldn't it though?
It would be no solution.
Why
Why would it be no solution?
It wouldn't be right.
Alright, Bennett. Move number 1. Everything's undone. Just get rid of the square root. How are you going to get rid of the square root? Square it. Before you erase it, you got to square it. Now you can erase it because the opposite of a square root is a square. And what's 10 squared?
100.
You just got to do it to both sides. Now, how are you going to undo that 3?
Times by 3.
Instead of dividing by 3, the opposite of that, times by 3. Times by 3. What's 100 times 3?
300.
X equals 300, but you're not so sure. Plug it in. You have to plug it in. What's 300 divided by 3?
100.
What's the square root of 100? So, yep, we're sure. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. This guy right here. What's move number 1?
Let's find out. You guys are fine.
What are you going to do very first?
Are you sure?
Undo the plus minus. Do we got any plus or minus?
The plus 8.
Get rid of that 8. How do you undo plus 8? Minus 8. Minus 8. What's 9 minus 8? So you got 1 equals square root of 2p plus 5. Now what? Now get rid of that radical. Square it. Square it. What's 1 squared?
1.
So you got 1 equals 2p plus 5.
Minus your 5.
Minus the 5 on both sides. What's 1 minus 5?
Negative 4.
So negative 4 equals 2p. How do you undo the 2?
Divide by 2.
Divide by 2. Divide by 2. What's negative 4 divided by 2?
P equals negative 2.
P equals negative 2. But let's plug it in to see if that's the truth. What's 2 times a negative 2?
Negative 4.
What's negative 4 plus 5?
1.
What's the square root of 1?
1.
What's 1 plus 8?
9.
9 equals 9.
Yes, it's true.
True.
I told you. Tyson,
True.
you owe me a Coke. What? Never mind, I don't like it.
Okay, look at this one right here.
Think it is.
Now,
Liter bottle. Gotcha.
what do your instincts tell you to do when you see this?
It's my favorite.
Change it. Or square it. You can't cancel them both out. You have to undo them both. Look at this is the exact, if we look at it in radical form, that 2 is your index and that 1 is going to be the,
So they're basically square roots.
yeah, anything to the 1/2 is the same thing as the square root.
So you square them.
And you look at this guy, a plus 10 to the 1/2 is the same thing as this. Square root of a plus 10 to the 1. Now, how do you undo these? You square them. Square this side. Square this side.
So basically you just clean off everything and leave the number. So you just like take off.
So you just got negative 2 minus 5a equals a plus 10. What side do you want to get your a's on? This side, the right side?
Yeah.
Plus 5a. Plus 5a. So that's 6a. Plus 10. Over here is negative 2.
Negative 2.
Minus 10. Minus 10. 6a equals minus 12.
Wait,
A?
negative 2.
Equals negative 2. Is a equal to negative 2?
Yes.
Before you circle, plug it in. What's a negative 2 plus 10?
Negative, yeah, 8.
So on the right, you got square root of 8. If we get square root of 8 on the left, what's a negative 5 times a negative 2?
10.
Positive 10. What's 10 minus 2?
8.
So on the left, you also got square root of 8. Okay.